Hello and welcome to this presentation on how to build a CV or curriculum vitae for teaching and research careers. A CV is used in Europe and other countries the same way we use a resume. That is why it can be confusing if you search for CV or curriculum vitae online. Curriculum vitae means the course of one's life in Latin. It should include your complete academic history. According to the Muse, a job search website, it is an exhaustive listing of all the significant achievements in your educational career. If you are applying to a community college, it would be best to use a more teacher-focused resume. CVs are used for gaining employment in higher academic positions. They are also used by those seeking fellowships, grants, postdoctoral positions, and teaching research positions in post-secondary institutions or high-level research positions in industry. Consider that a tailored resume is limited to 1 to 2 pages long and it emphasizes skills, whereas the length of the CV depends upon experience and includes a complete list of publications, posters, and presentations. I have seen CVs of 5 pages and those of 40 pages in length, with all the presentations, publications, and teachings experiences listed. In researching for this presentation, I found that the consensus is that the CV is to be as long as needed unless the institution has put a limit to how many pages it must be. It always begins with education and can include the advisor's name and the dissertation title or summary. A CV is also used for merit, tenure review, and sabbatical leave. According to the Purdue OWL, it is considered a living document and should be updated frequently as it shows the developments of the scholar's or teacher's career. And according to the Career Services of the University of Pennsylvania, they state that depending on the institution you're applying to, your CV should be able to answer these basic questions that search committees will ask. What is your dissertation topic? Have you published? Do you have teaching experience? Have you presented at major conferences in your discipline? And what are your teaching and research interests? Contact information always goes to the top of the first page. These are just some of the section headers that you can use. There is no one standard layout for the body of a CV. It will depend on the position you are applying for and what kind of college or university you want to work in. Some are teaching universities. Others are big on research. Also, the discipline you are in will determine the headers, such as data sets for the sciences or performances for the performing arts. You want to arrange the sections to highlight strengths for the position you are seeking. One other section that can be added, although this is more common in ministry, is the section on personal and family information. Otherwise, that's not necessary. A few other section headers you can use are current research interests, languages and international travel, professional service and consultations, and relevant leadership. In your relevant leadership experience, being the president of the high school chess club is probably not relevant. But being the treasurer of the Graduate Student Association probably is. An example of specific skills would be the ability to use a clinical chemistry analyzer to conduct an array of tests on serum, plasma, and therapeutic drug monitoring assays. The ability to use computer programs such as SPSS or Strata to assist in statistical research would be great to include. It is not necessary to include these particular items on your CV, nor do they need to be on a resume either. There can be a bias created if these are included in your document. Now, of course, there are exceptions to every rule. Religious preference and maybe marital status are needed when applying for teaching in ministry. In India, Pakistan, and other South Asian countries, using a biodata document with or instead of a resume or CV would include many of these headings. Biodata is essentially a resume or CV for jobs, grants, and marriage. The use of this is generally not common outside of these countries of South Asia. You want to consider the font type used. Use one that is easy to read, such as Aptos, Calibri, or Arial. Stay away from fonts that are hard to read, such as Bodini, Comic Sans, Times New Roman, or Monotype Corsiva. Do your research on the school and what they value the most. Even though this takes time, it will increase your chances of consideration when you are able to demonstrate your relevant experience. Keep any technical jargon to the absolute minimum. Write clearly and concisely. Have someone proofread. This could be someone who understands what is expected in the job or academic position in your field. They should give good advice on specific content and formatting. Your CV should show how you match the application description and why you are the best candidate for the job. Organize your content in a way that showcases any special awards, distinctions, leadership positions, and significant experiences to make it easier for your reader to read and see your achievements. I had a doctoral student submit to me a CV resume mix. I had to ask what he was applying to, what he wanted to do, to which he replied to teach at a Christian university. I had to explain to him that the resume had to be teased from the CV. If he wanted to show what he did academically, it had to be just his academics. The student was concerned that there wouldn't be enough on his CV to merit 2 or more pages. I asked him to think about any curriculum he may have created, even if he did it voluntarily at church. That still counted. He had done a couple of curriculums for Sunday school. That also made him think about other volunteer teachings he did and even presentations he had done for other organizations that pertained to what he wanted to teach. Since he was applying to a Christian university, that was great. If he weren't, we would have had to change some wording and state a faith-based curriculum. After a few appointments, the scholar had a 5-page CV. We also worked on his resume too, and that was a solid 2-pager. Think of places where you can teach a course, such as in adult education centers. Do you want to teach a history class? Ask how you can sign up and get your class listed in their catalog. Even if you live in a small town, check the library and see if you can teach a small community class. And remember to put that on your CV. Have you written any articles or done any research in your field? Get it published in a journal that pertains to your field and add that to your CV too. Now, just as a resume has a basic format, so does a CV. While the section headings may be different, some things remain constant, such as the margins, the font, placement of name, and contact info, which is just to name a few elements. As stated in the previous slide, use an easy-to-read font such as Calibri, Aptos, or Arial, or any sans serif font. You want your name to be at the top of the document on the first page so the person or persons, you want to think committee here, reading it will know who it is they are reading about. Plus, make sure you have page numbers starting after the first page with your last name, just in case the pages get separated. This was found from several sources such as Pepperdine Seaver College Career Center, Notre Dame, and UCLA. A suggestion would be to use a cumulative footer for this information. You can use a cumulative footer, which means you can put the total number of pages and what page is out of the total number. For example, Vanderbilt 2 of 4. Have your contact information under your name so you can be easily contacted for an interview. Have your city, state, zip, phone number, and email information in just a bit smaller print. As a side note, record a professional message for the telephone number you have listed. Keep consistency in your document. It will show that you pay attention to detail. Using reverse chronological order will show your most recent work first. It's not necessary to go into the details of your duties unless it is necessary to do so, especially if the institution states that is what they want to see in your CV. Abbreviations and course codes may be meaningless to your reader or readers. If you use an acronym, be sure to spell it out. Using white space is as important as having text. It's easier on the eyes. Large blocks of text can strain the eyes and make it look like you are padding the CV. Printing on both sides may save paper, but large chunks of your information may be overlooked entirely by others looking through your CV. Print on one side only so it can be easily flipped through and your information is clearly seen. The type of university that is applied to makes a difference. Do you want to teach exclusively or do you want to do research and teach? How can you tell the difference? A teaching university is more focused on developing quality teaching and providing students with a strong education. They typically offer smaller class sizes and more individualized attention from professors. These universities often value professors who have a strong teaching record and prioritize teaching in their job expectations. A research university places a greater emphasis on research output and original contributions to academic fields. Professors at research-focused focused universities are expected to conduct research and publish their findings in academic journals and often receive more funding and resources to support their research. The emphasis on research can sometimes come at the expense of teaching quality, with larger class sizes and less individual attention from the professors. Now, how can you tell which is which from the job description? One way to find out if a university you are applying to work in is a teaching or research university is to look at the university's mission statement or website. Universities that prioritize teaching tend to emphasize the quality of their undergraduate programs, the teaching expertise of their faculty, and the availability of resources for teaching and learning. On the other hand, universities that prioritize research tend to focus on the quality of their graduate programs, the research output of their faculty, and the availability of resources for research and scholarship. Another way to determine whether a university is a teaching or research university is to examine the faculty's job responsibilities and expectations. In teaching-focused universities, faculty members are typically expected to spend the majority of their time teaching courses, advising students, and engaging in service activities. At research-focused universities, faculty members are typically expected to spend a significant amount of time conducting research, publishing scholarly articles, and seeking external funding for their research. Finally, a teacher can also ask current or former faculty members at the university about their experiences and opinions regarding the institution's teaching and research priorities. These individuals can provide valuable insights and perspectives about the university's culture, expectations, and overall emphasis. You need to set up your CV to emphasize your qualifications and skills relevant to the position and institution you are applying to. Regent is a teaching university, and the CV needs to show teaching experience. How can you tell? Teaching is stressed in the job description. Examples of both types of universities, teaching and research, will be shown soon. Remember the sections we discussed in an earlier slide? This is where those come into play. What do you want to highlight based upon the qualifications listed? What are your successes? Show what those are. By using reverse chronological order, you want to show the search committee how recently you have accomplished something. Baylor University, shown on the left, is a private research university. See how research is emphasized in the first paragraph. Look at the second paragraph now. It's mentioned there too. It's also in the third paragraph. Research is mentioned again. Research is sprinkled throughout, as well as teaching is mentioned a few times. George Fox University, which is shown on the right, is a teaching university. See how teaching is sprinkled throughout the job description? A CV for each would be set up differently, highlighting the appropriate experience necessary for each position. You want to make note of what each job description is asking for. The institution may offer its own CV template and/or CV examples to help make sure that you include all required information in the format they prefer. Before you submit, look for any special CV guidelines the employer has outlined. Some institutions may require you to list only relevant coursework, fieldwork, dissertations, and professional references. Think about the section headers that can be used for each CV. Now let's look at a couple of CV examples side by side. There's a difference between a teaching CV and a research CV, which I hope you can see. Listing what you have experience in and what you want to continue doing is important. Look at how the education is shown. For both CVs, the doctorate, master, and bachelor's are listed. No need to add the associate degree. The bachelor's is included as it relates to what is being applied for. If the bachelor's were not relevant, it would not need to be included unless the job description specifically stated the bachelor's degree needed to be listed. Also, note that different higher education programs and institutions may have different expectations for research CVs. Therefore, it's a good idea to carefully review the job requirements and guidelines before finalizing your CV. The teaching CV on the left lists teaching and can also include advising under the education section. As a side note, current employment can go under the research experience section before publications if you need to show current employment. The format is important. As you can see with the headings, bullet points, and use of white space, you want it to be easy to read. A committee reviews each CV to see how the applicant fits overall. You want to set your first page at least with the most recent work you have done. If the search committee likes what they see, you move on to the next round of interviews. Remember what was asked for in the previous job descriptions? Consider your CV as a capstone of your achievements and to show your pedigree, scholarly productivity, and institutional priorities. By formatting your CV in the way described in the past few slides, the information that the board seeks can be easily found and discussed. Make sure your academic and scholarly picture is clear and concise. Just as with a resume, your CV will change depending on the position you applied for. You don't want to send the same CV for every position that interests you, as it may not fit what the school is looking for, and you end up selling yourself short. Take the time and tailor it. Proofread your document carefully and have another set of eyes to look it over, such as someone in your field. Thoroughly research the institution. Check out their mission, their vision, and their goals. Do the departments share them? Do your abilities and experiences align? Review the job listing. They may have a particular way they want the information presented in your CV, whether it's relevant coursework, fieldwork, dissertations, and professional references. Check to make sure. Evaluate your first 2 pages. Do they effectively convey your most recent scholarly activities and accomplishments? Edit it so it emphasizes them. And for additional help with reviewing your CV, contact Career Services to assist you. Here in Career Services, we are happy to assist you with your CV, resume, cover letters, mock interview skills, and personal branding. Thank you, and I hope you've gleaned information from this presentation. God bless.